All right, man. Well, you got your coffee?
I do.
Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing straight out of Southern California. He's a spoken word artist, an activist, a husband, a father, a leader. Hey, man, you hear his walkout song? It's written by him because he's a spoken word artist. It's propaganda. Prop. What's going on, Prop?
What up, dog? I ain't never been intro like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, gotta show love, man. First and foremost, I just want to give you props. When I started this whole podcast, I was working in my career at Fox, cable stations, NBC, ABC. I was really blessed and grateful for the opportunity, man. But I also felt there was a space needed for something more than just sound bites and something more than just what's going on, just blasting out on their agenda or mainstream.
Yeah.
I just felt like this could be an opportunity to have authentic conversations, to just talk about what's actually going on and get to the heart of the issue, hopefully make some change and talk to different politicians, left side, right side, because I heard from conservatives, I heard from liberals, and let's just talk about what's actually happening and be honest with it and have honest discussion. So when I first started this, one of the first people I thought of was you, actually, because I have had so much respect for you, and not only with the similar passion for spoken word, and we're both believers. We love Jesus first and foremost. We're husbands, and we're just trying to just be authentic in our life and grind and have good coffee, man. So I just want to appreciate you. And I just found out that you have a Filipino stepmom, man.
Oh, bro,
I'm hot, man.
Hey, homie, listen. Lola be going hard.
Hey.
The part of LA I'm from, I don't know how familiar you are with the city, but the part that I spent most of my formative years was pretty much almost all sort of either like Latino or Filipino. So I spent most of my childhood among that community. My closest friends, my DJ, he just recently passed away, but my DJ for the last, 7 years, Pinoy brother from Long Beach, you know what I'm saying? So like most of my closest friends, culture, community, I just been around the community for a while. And then eventually when my father remarried, a sister from Dumaguete, you know what I'm saying? So like, I just been around the culture for a long time. So like, trust me, you could quiz me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what I'm talking about.
I got you.
Yeah.
I may or may not have a little quiz, man, coming up, man.
Okay. Oh, bring it, homie. Like, I'm surprised you, bro.
That's
you know what I'm saying.
Man.
Like the deep, like you commented on the tweet. You know what I'm saying? Like deep cuts where I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why y'all all write the same. What's with the all caps? You know what I'm saying? All caps leading one way. You feel me? Like I'm like, I remember even like looking over Food's shoulders and being like, I'm gonna practice writing like this because I just like. Y'all all do it. I'm like, is it the feds? Like, y'all just don't want to be identified? Like, why y'all all right like this? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, we got to make our point across, came from the islands, man.
I feel it, bro. I feel it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's too funny. And we got Pacquiao running for president, and,
I
LA,
just heard.
Yes, sir, man. My lovely bride, she's actually from LA. She's from Baldwin Park, the home of In-N-Out, actually. So she's from
that's my area, 626 SGV. Yeah.
Hey, 626.
Yeah, man. I was from Valinda, which is a little bit like it's the rival hood, but like that's our area. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, bro. So we spent a lot of time over in your neck of the woods. Then, my mother-in-law is over there. We actually got married in Long Beach, the Long Beach Museum of Art. So.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, man. We were
man. Look, you talking about where she from? That's look. It's a little bit, like I said, it's a little bit on the other side of town, but like Amor and Azusa, there was a Goldilocks right there. You know what I'm saying? So we used to go get our snacks right there. There's a Manila Sunset down the street. Go have dinner down there. Like I'm trying to tell you, like I know. You know what I mean? Like I'm from the spot, dog. You feel me? Man. I remember there was a spot right on. It was on Amar and Nogales, which these streets don't mean nothing to nobody else here. But like there was a spot right on top of that. Like I'm happily married now, but I used to go get like just order a dinuguan because the girl there was just fine as hell. And I used to just be like, I'm gonna pull up after school, just pop in, be the only black dude pulling up, just ordering different stuff. She'd be like, why do you know? Like, where are you from? And I'm like, yo, I'm from here, you know what I'm saying? So tell me a little bit more about you know what I'm saying? But I used to try to jib at her when I would go get dinner. But
and you get some lumpia there too?
Oh, bro, lumpia, man, that's the easy stuff. You can get that anywhere. But yeah, I will get that there. I will get that there too. Yeah. But most of the time, like my DJ's mom, like she would just have it on deck all the time. So we just pull up, grab a bag,
right?
Grab a bag and hit the road. You feel me?
Yeah. That's what's up, man. And Amar is a spot. My mother-in-law, she still goes there, man.
She still go down on Amar, yeah.
I'm like, she's like, hey, where you going, Mama J? I'm going to Amar. I'm like, ooh, I know it's about to happen tonight. About to get
y'all finna eat good. Y'all gonna eat good, bro. Yup.
Yo, and it's crazy because I'm actually half Filipino and half white. So my grandfather, you already know, bro, Lolo, when my father was 8 years old, he actually immigrated from the Philippines. He was one out of hundreds of accountants selected to work for Daimler Chrysler. And so he came over with hundreds of dollars, like $300 in his pocket, came over to Detroit. My wonderful Lola, my strong, Lola, she brought my dad and my siblings and his siblings over, my titos and titas, and they grew up in the city, man, of Detroit. And so they were one of the only looked at Asians there.
Yeah.
They would be like, hey, Bruce Lee, and that
of
really,
course.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just when you see someone that looks like that, you just term China or you term Japan, you know what I'm saying? So the fact that you respect and about that Filipino life, man, let's go, bro.
It's funny, man. And it's funny because my father was a Black Panther and we was in this predominantly it was a Mexican community.
Okay.
So for me, my brain was and if you know anything just about sort of just that South Asian sort of gang culture, y'all looked like cholos to me. You know what I'm saying? When he was gangbanging. So I was just I thought I was there's there's the vatos and then there's those other vatos that I was they look different, but they definitely, you feel me? And it took a second for me to realize that's because that's a whole other island, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't go, like I said, I didn't go Chinese. I thought y'all were just versions. Y'all were versions of Latinos.
Right.
In my little head, you feel me?
Yeah.
And then you just and then you start kicking it more and you oh, word. Okay. So it's the Philippines. So tell me a little about it. And then they be your homies. It's just when you grow up in these type of environment, it just be your homies and you don't know no different. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because there is that Spanish influence. For instance, my last name is La Pastora, right? Because the Spaniards,
there it is.
You know what I'm saying? Ruled over the Philippines. So it's in Asia, but it still has a very strong Spanish influence, obviously.
Bro, I had homies whose grandmother, whose Lolas only spoke Spanish.
Yep.
They didn't even speak Tagalog because of that. So that even more in my head was wait.
Yeah.
What? You know what I'm saying? But but we kids then, now I get it though.
Yeah. And what's even crazier too is since I grew up in Michigan, I was one of the only ones holding it down Filipino wise in my school growing up. So, I would, it's just trying to figure out. I remember in preschool, I would color in this drawing and this kid next to me is why are you coloring it in peach? It should be in orange. So I colored in orange, and so it's predominantly, you know what I'm saying? And so you don't think about it at the time, but little hey, you like math and I like to hoop, and they always called me Jeremy Lin or Yao Ming. That's just what they knew, and so my point being is I joined the Filipino basketball league there. I found I'm resonating with my Filipino side, and since I'm mixed, I've got this white part of me too. But obviously my identity is in Christ, you know what I'm saying? And so I found that solid rock in him. But my wife has really exposed me a lot to just how there's so much Pinoys in LA. Obviously, my cousin's from San Diego, bro. And it's a whole culture. And I grew up resonating with my Filipino side, and I love the Filipino parties and the lumpia and the pancit. Yeah, it's the whole vibe, man.
That's dope, man. That's dope. What a journey, man. I could picture it. I could picture that journey for you.
Yeah. And so I want to get to know a little bit about your journey. Speaking of that, man. So you got your coffee.
I do.
Whoever's listening around the world, you got your coffee in hand, your drink in hand. What you got brewing today there, Prop?
So I brewed an Ethiopian, I think it was a Yirgacheffe,
Okay.
a roaster out in Illinois that somebody had shipped me. I'm at this place now where I'm a coffee curator. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
So
Like there's connoisseur and there's curator.
Yeah, you know I'm saying, like people be sending me bags. You feel me? And I'm like, okay, yeah, this look cool. So yeah, it was it was a little natural wash Yirgacheffe from Ethiopia. Did a little type of, it's a type of pour over. It's called a G70. Is from this company called St. Anthony Industries. Okay. So they do this, like I'm gonna get real nerdy on you, but like the angle of the V is, rather than a 60, it's a 70. Okay. So because of that, it's weird, but the it does taste different. Trust me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta believe me, it tastes different. But yeah, so I did a G70 little pour over with my Ethiopian Yirgacheffe.
Hey, that's what's up. And it just feels different to sip on something when you put that time, the art, and the craft in it, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, yeah, there's the emotional, like, liturgy part of it that, like, really slows you down. Just the practice of having like a ritual that makes you pay attention, be present, kind of step by step. And then just secondly, it's just better made. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when it's better made, it's just gonna taste better, you know?
And, you know, because it has us focus and slow down and be present, you know, for everyone listening in from wherever you're listening from, if you don't mind just sharing a little bit about your story and where you were born, how you were raised, how you got to be the man you are today, as we're enjoying this nice, good coffee.
Yes, you know, yeah. So I was born in South Central LA. Okay. On the east side, for those that are experts of the city. So I'm from the east side. It's where grandmother, my father's side, you know, grandma and him, all of her siblings and cousins are from there. Shortly thereafter, I moved to what we talked about just now, like the San Gabriel Valley, 626. That's where most of my like formative years was kind of spent, between those two areas. Predominantly, again, Latino, Filipino space. I went to high school in an area called the Inland Empire. After my parents split, my mom went and got a house out there. Kind of, the suburbs of California are freakishly diverse, you know? So like, you know, it was there that, like, yeah, I fell in love with hip hop. I met some of my closest friends, you know, my who I call my Sri Lankan twin, you know, my own boy from, you know, Sri Lanka, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, you just, you know, I got exposed to a lot of like the rest of the world, because where I was from, like, that was hood. We was just brown folk, you know what I'm saying? So, so yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of what happened there. My father was Black Panther. So I had a pretty strong identity in sort of who I was, sort of culturally. I fell in love with hip hop pretty young, just being a part of the city. My parents became Christians when I was in elementary school at some point. Can't say it was necessarily a Christian home. I don't know. I'd be hard pressed to say that, you know, but you know, we went to church, you know what I'm saying? Like most Black people, you know what I'm saying? And but when they like really started taking it serious, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I personally was like a product of like pretty good youth ministry. You know, I like I said, we was an inner city church, so you know, we weren't necessarily like conservative evangelical, you know what I'm saying? Like, we were taggers, you know what I'm saying? We was all taggers, we was all, you know, we was all skaters, you know what I'm saying? Like, we were just like street kids, you know what I'm saying? And I think having that sort of like, even our like Sunday school teachers, they were street folk, you know what I'm saying? So I think because of that, like some of the sort of baggage that kind of comes with being in sort of like sort of the American evangelical space, like I just kind of didn't have, because I just didn't come from that type of church, you know. And yeah, like, so I think, you know, like good youth ministry that kept us out of jail, you know what I'm saying? And you know, and for me, like I got introduced to the arts, got introduced to hip hop, you know what I'm saying? And you know, and you kind of navigating, you know, these environments that are obviously very gang infested. It's hard to not say that that wasn't a part of, you know, my formation of how I see the world, you know, how I treat my friends, how I treat my homies, you know what I'm saying? A lot of that still kind of comes from sort of that just LA kind of street life, you know, and even applied to like my love for my neighbor, you know what I'm saying? It's even biblically was like, some of that is even put through the lens of like what you do for your homies, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, damn, that's what Jesus wants me to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I kind of took a lot of that to my faith. But yeah, like but for me, like hip hop, man, you know, that was the saving grace, I think, in a lot of ways. You know, I like I said, I don't have that, like, you know, sort of need to put kind of like a Christian lens on what hip hop culture was, because we're just not from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't need to make any sort of distinctions. You know what I'm saying? Like, the culture was you bring your full self to the mic, to the poems, to the dance floor, whatever you're doing, you just bring yourself. It's just our culture. You know what I'm saying? So when I started writing poetry and rap, you know, I was just as open with who I was as the Muslim or the 5%er at the same open mic was. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, are you dope? Like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of our sort of like attitude towards it. So I just kind of came from a scene where we were allowed to be, you know, our full selves. And yeah, I went off to college, you know, studied illustration, intercultural studies, taught high school for a while. And yeah, I've been kind of, you know, one day the phone rang for a show, a hip hop show to go do, and it kind of hasn't stopped ringing, you know, and I've just been doing that ever since. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. And how would you say, I mean, so it's almost, so for me, I grew up in a church as well, a loving Christian community. And then it was like the rug got swept underneath me because my parents got divorced as well. So they were still believers, right? But then my mom remarried this guy who was Christian, then he was converted to Judaism, and then he converted back to Christianity to marry my mother, and then brought us to a very legalistic, fundamental suits, organs, you know, church. And at the time, as a high schooler growing up, you know, a young Christian, I was like, I want to listen to Christian hip hop. They didn't allow that. I went out to a mission trip, and they asked me to coach dance in the Alps Mountains, and they didn't want me to, you know, talk about that part. And it was just such a faith building journey for me, because I didn't even know how to coach dance, bro. I did like 2 choreographed hip hop dances my freshman year, and they asked me to choreograph dance, you know, and it was like, all right, guy, show me how to do it. And
figure it out. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, man, and so I almost think like maybe for your experience, they allowed you to express yourself, and maybe that was beneficial to help you grow as a hip hop artist.
It really was, man. It wasn't until I was like, you leave the city. I was in a public figure, and then you start sort of traveling in Christian spaces, that for me, where any sort of like conflict kind of came from. Because when I was just doing the underground circuit, like, man, nobody had any questions or qualms, or everybody knew where we stood, you know what I mean? And fools be like, yo, I rock with it. Like, oh, that dude, he rock with Jesus. I think it's dope. You know what I mean? He can spit. I like what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was always like that when I was just doing hip hop. It wasn't until somebody knocked on my door and was like, hey, come play at my church. And I was like, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know anything. I was like, all right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I come from this crew called the Tunnel Rats, and we were kind of like all kind of like that. We were just MCs, you know what I'm saying? And then you get booked for these things on the other side of the country, you know. So now we in the South, we in the Bible Belt, we in these other areas, and they had all these rules and sort of fences around what it meant to be a Christian artist. And for me, it was disorienting, because I didn't understand I didn't understand, like, you know, and for a while I was like, man, am I tripping? Like, are we, you know, are we? But like,
because you want to be right, you know, and it's like this weird brainwashing type effect where like, it's that legalism sets in.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, because I came in so open arms, like, oh, this is dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's fresh. Like, y'all out here doing this. Okay, that's dope. Yeah. You know, and then the, you know, obviously I come, like, even coming from the battle rap scene, I was like, man, I hope these guys can, I hope y'all can spit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know, and then and then for me, I was like, how you gonna, I was like, you can't be a whack rapper and tell me my theology's bad. Like, you can't do both. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, look, homie, like, look, you can say whatever, like, but y'all are whack MCs. So like, why would I even listen? How you gonna critique what I'm doing? Y'all can't even rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what, so, you know, because again, I came in so open. Like, I thought we was like, yo, I was like, yo, the crew got bigger. Like, this is dope. You know, only to be told I was doing it wrong. And I'm like, man, well, you ain't never even been here. Like, you would like come to our city. I was like, dog, they will murder you where we at. You know what I'm saying?
Like straight up.
Yeah, like especially you talking like this. And so I just didn't understand. And at the time it was like, again, like I didn't come from a place where I needed to have such a like academic kind of chapter and verse reasoning, apologetic for all of my actions. Some stuff was like, this is just God's character. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what does the Bible say about wearing a hoodie? Well, it doesn't say anything because it's like, I don't understand what you mean. Like, that's a dumb question. Like, I don't understand the question. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I was not prepared to answer that when people were asking me like, so what's your theology around battling? And I was like, around what? Like, I didn't understand. I didn't understand. I was like, I'm an MC. Like, I don't understand the question, you know? So, but at that being said, it was like, well, what is my theology about? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I started to like really say, well, let me ask myself these questions. Why do I do what I do? Why do I think what I think? You know what I'm saying? And it was helpful. You know, I'm glad I did it, you know? But yeah, that legalism, and then, oh my Lord, like but I think more what slapped me in the face hardest was the racism. That's what I was not prepared for. You know, again, when you leave California, you know, or specifically Los Angeles, or any particular like inner city, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't experience that. Like, where you feel like in Detroit, I feel like I wouldn't have experienced that, you know what I'm saying? But it was more when you start traveling in like the B markets and these other cities, and you're like, or even hearing other like Black and brown people articulate stuff, and I'm going, yo, like, do you hear yourself, fam? Like, what do you hear what you're saying about yourself? You know what I mean? Like, and it would like, I was like, maybe I'm tripping because I'm the child of a Black Panther, but all I know is that sounds like a lot, like a little bit of self-hate, man. And I feel like you bathe in that in some Bible, but it's, to me, I'm like, this old-fashioned racism, and I don't understand why you can't see that, you know? So those things were, I think, the most kind of shocking to my system. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, you know, even growing up in the Detroit area, Michigan, and then I moved to Arkansas for a year. So shout out to Onyx, you know, Bentonville. And
let's go.
And then I was, my first reporter job was in northern Michigan. So it's very rural. And so with my wife, you know, she was my girlfriend at the time. We were dating long distance because we actually met, you know, it was crazy because we met at the Asian American Journalism Conference, bro, in San Francisco.
Wow.
And so we were like, all right, guy. I looked at her and I was like, oh, I got to get to know you.
Hold up. Yes.
I got to get to know you, girl, you know?
Yeah.
And I came back to the room and I was just about to like make professional development. I meet this woman, I'm like, oh, thank the Lord. And then so I like try to give her Filipino food. She's Filipino. She's like, oh, I'm vegan. I'm like, oh man. And then so I'm like,
what do I do now? Yeah.
And so like, you can have some of the rice. And so man, she's amazing. So anyways, we were in northern Michigan and people kept looking at us. And for me, it was different for her going up in East LA to be around a ton of white people. For me, I was so used to it because I got my white side, and it's just such you know, dynamic. Like, oh, we come in peace, you know, like,
you
know, and so even in like you know, since we're on this topic now, like when we're talking about racism, it can be subtle, it can be overt. Where do you see us as a country right now? I know I'm in Portugal, but I mean specifically United States of where we are like with that, because you know our history, they don't teach a lot of that in the history books growing up. You know, and even it's creeping into, like you mentioned, into the church, and this should be the place where we're the light of the world. Like we should be shining Christ's light, and I'm honored to talk to you about this, probably because you've been talking about this for before it was trending, before the Black before the Black Lives Matter movement, because Black Lives Matter should have been a thing before it became a hashtag. So
yeah, man, I think it's complicated, right? Because I think there's some things that have, you know, never changed and have always been present, in the sense of like, I mean, if we're going to talk about like, we're founded by Puritans, you know, this is the slave trade, whether we're talking Jonathan Edwards, whoever we're talking about of our like founders of the faith here. I mean, you just have to do the math. They were slave owners. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how else to, that's what happened. You know what I mean? And so I think in some senses, there's this like, you know, reality, why there's like AME church, African Methodist Episcopal, why there are like Church of God, why we have these denominations, because our churches were segregated. They just were, you know what I'm saying? So like, I think there's on one side, there's those who have been screaming from the margins the whole time, that have been trying to say like, yo, listen, you know what I mean? And on the other hand, you have our Jesuit brothers and sisters, you have our Methodist brothers and sisters, you have our Quaker brothers and sisters, who the whole time have been, who are also, you know, like white believers that were going, guys, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So like, so it's complicated, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's shows that like there's been a continuation throughout history, throughout our time, that like, you know, with the advent of social media, we're just now seeing it. I think also, I'm gonna get real nerdy on you. There's, you know, we're sitting in the product or in the shadow of, you know, the silent majority, the religious right, like the Nixon era, that's sort of like kind of weaponized evangelicalism for the purpose of maintaining a certain type of political power. You know what I mean? And then when you fast forward 50 years later, it's like, we can't even detangle what was a marketing strategy, you know what I'm saying, 50 years ago, is now gotten to a place to where it's so enmeshed that when you tell a person the Bible ain't written in English, or that Jesus didn't speak English, they think you're being a liberal. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're just being a leftist. And I'm like, fam, like, I'm just saying Jesus ain't speak English. Like he didn't speak. Like, look at you seen a map, fam? Like, if you look at the map, like, they just ain't speak. That's not the language. It didn't exist. Like, there was no such thing as English then. You know what I'm saying? So, so I just think that like, we're the product of like really, really good marketing that in a lot of ways played upon the basis of our collective sin nature, our desire to have authority and exert power over the other, you know, weaponized and packaged into what became like a Christian nationalism, or a type of conservatism that says like, if you're a Christian, you only care about these 4 topics. You know what I'm saying? But that's, you know, that's marketing. You know what I mean? So I think that I think there's that. Obviously, a lot of this was exacerbated by, you know, the advent of a Donald Trump, you know, who again was playing to the lowest parts of us. You know what I mean? In the attempts of stoking, you know, culture wars that, like I said, in some senses were always here. But yeah, man, I just, as the state as to where we are today, I think it's a complicated question, man. I think that, when you have a firebrand that was Trump, it was easy to think that we're reaching some sort of like culminating sort of like fight for equality because there's a common quote unquote enemy, and I think having somebody like a Joe Biden who's like just the most like oat brand milk toast, like just no cream, no sugar, boring thing, make you think that we okay now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That I hope that we're noticing things that are like, yo, it's not, the struggle for equality like continues, you know what I'm saying? And that, to borrow from Paul, like, we're not wrestling against flesh and blood, you know what I'm saying? So it's not so much that like, the wonderful white guy that lives across the street from me, you know what I'm saying? That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about an institutionalized system that prefers whiteness over, the rest of us, and seeing and asking that person to recognize that, you know what I'm saying? And then help affirm sort of the image of God in the rest of us is just a daunting task, man, Yeah. And it's complicated, so like my hope with my work is not so much to tell people sort of what to do, because in a lot of ways I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what we should do, but to sort of describe and to try to sort of spark imagination, just to suggest, to think that like maybe there is another way to do this, and maybe start with playing with the sphere that you're already around. You know what I'm saying? Like how can I affirm the dignity of the homeless person down the street? How can I affirm the dignity of, the girls in my house? You know what I'm saying? Whether if we're dealing with issues of patriarchy and stuff like that, like, well, what can I do to affirm, their validity as co-laborers in the, in the plan of God, you know what I'm saying? But I know it's a super long answer, but that was a very complex question.
I know. And man, shout out to the answer too, because I think that it's so true, man. I appreciate the answer, because it's funny. This coffee is actually from Senzu Coffee Roasters in Porto, and I'm in northern Portugal right now. And there's one good coffee shop. So like how there's cafes and they have like syrups. Yeah. It's coffee, and nothing wrong with like grocery store brand.
Nothing.
Like,
yeah.
There's if you're a connoisseur and now you're a quote unquote coffee curator. So you level up. You got that 70 life, man.
You know what I'm
saying? When I walk into there, like I drive over there, I'm like, I gotta have some good coffee for this, and they're closed, right? But thankfully the owner's still there. She's closing up, like, oh, we're renovating the bathroom. It's Casa de Banho in Portuguese. Yeah. And the reason why we're here is because my wife and I left my full-time job in Phoenix at a TV station. We felt called, like God said go, and we're like, the enemy was trying everything to say no, but when God says go, he's got a plan, and there's a lot of obstacles. We've been here for a few months doing mission work and freelancing. But anyways, I go in there and they let me in. They give me this coffee, and they gave it to me for free. And I'm like, God bless you guys. God bless your marriage and your business. Y'all got like the best coffee shop in northern Portugal. And so I was asking them about what is it? Because Portuguese, they go to a cafe and they get their little espresso, but they don't really. I was like, how is it owning like a quality coffee shop up here? And they said it's tough because Portuguese, they're very much like, this is our coffee, right? But they don't realize where the coffee comes from. It comes from a lot of other different countries. They don't know how it was harvested or anything like that, And so they're about getting that ethical coffee bean. And so it's just a part of speaking of nationalism, it's this nationalistic, like, and the Portuguese and Spaniards, I talked earlier about how the Spaniards conquered the Philippines. The Portuguese did that, obviously. I mean, like worldwide. And so there's still a little bit of this sense of nationalism here. And so I think you hit the nail on the head, man, that there's this embedded culture within our country in America of like, the white is right. you know, and you see that trickle down. My wife, she's passionate about the fashion beauty lifestyle industry. I mean, you know, you have a wife, you have a daughter, and even in the standards of beauty, my child, if I have a daughter, she's gonna be brown. You know, I want her to know she's beautiful, how God created her. She's wonderfully made. And so everything from politics, right? And I think you made a great point, because the evangelical, right? That's what where I grew up, like, oh, this is the right way. But then, don't listen to this left way. But then the left has a very valid point of view, because they're actually talking about some race issues that need to be addressed. So I think you're right. It's just, we got to start in our home and start in our community.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And they're hard combos, but you know, well, I mean, what's another way forward? You know, if we don't have them, like I made a point recently on another pod, I think, that, like, you know, neutral is a position. Center is a position. Like, it's not neutral. Neutral ain't neutral. It's a position. Yeah. You know, well, I just don't want to get into politics. I'm just about, what that either that means, A, you're okay with how things are, you know, or B, you're cool with whatever the extremes decide. That's a position. You know what I'm saying? You know, that your life is not affected in either way. You just told me a lot about yourself. You know what I mean? That, like, no matter what happens, I mean, we're fine. We'll go to brunch. It's cool. You know, I'm like, well, no, that's a position. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I find myself saying, you know, the more we've sort of found sort of, you know, professional success, and how much, you know, more comfortable our lives are, it's not more difficult. It's more incumbent on me to remember that. And it's almost becomes more and more clear, like, everybody don't have what we have, you know? And so it's like, it's crazy. Like, I become more passionate about, like, making sure that I'm staying connected to, you know, the forgotten, the lost, you know, you know what I'm saying, the margins, you know, and making sure, even as I vote, that I'm not voting for my own comfortability. I'm voting for theirs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that, like, you know, what's one of the most effective ways to love my neighbor is voting for laws that affect them well. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, this is me loving my neighbor, you know, is making sure that the institution serves them, you know, more than I'm worried about it serves me. Cause, like, the truth is, like, I mean, we're fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're good. You know, we have, of course, I'm not balling, you know what I'm saying? But we're all right. You know,
balling on a budget.
Balling on a budget. You already know. You know what I'm saying? Yep.
And so, I appreciate you talking about that, man. I want to get into now a little bit of mental health. I'm gonna be starting a series on mental health. And one thing that really stood out to me, actually, that you said was in 2012, you were doing a show with Cray and all those dudes, Derek Minor in Detroit, actually. And I was DJing for my college radio station at the time. And
oh, wow.
I was in, like, the press row, and I heard you, I think, talking to Calvin just about your album, Excellence. And one of the things that you said stood out to me. You were saying that we just need to, like, what if your brother was hurting, right? And his mom was going through something, and then you're just like, oh, brother, hey, just come here. Let's go through the scripture. Don't feel that way, you know. Just come on. You got to feel this way. And then I remember you said, can I just get a hug? You know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just need a hug. Like, I'm going through something. And that stood out to me, because I think so often in the church we grow up and we're like, oh man, we got to act like everything is good. Bro, we put on a mask on Sundays, and then you go to what you're doing Sunday night. You go to what you're doing Monday. Like, why can't we keep it authentically, right? And so I just want to hear, first of all, how you're actually doing, you know, as a fellow brother in Christ, you know, and your journey in mental health. And like, that's crazy, because it's, like, dark, and but, like, it's nighttime. Yeah. I'm gonna turn on the light now.
I was like, yo, your light went out, fam. Let's see. I think to your point, I think we were under the impression, you know, which I think might be a product of, I mean, I'm getting nerdy again, but just like a product of the Enlightenment. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And just just rationalism, just this idea that like, well, if you think right, then you'll feel right. You know, so you just need more input, right? So it's like, well, look at the scripture. Well, the scripture says this, so you should be fine. You know what I'm saying? Like just this, which is, not only is that not biblical, it's not biological. Like that's just not true of the human, you know, that it's just not, you know what I'm saying? What I think the scripture teaches us is a practice, you know, whether it's like Paul being like, you know, whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is lovely, is praiseworthy. It's like you meditate on these things, you know what I'm saying? Which is a process of becoming. It's like, it's not this input and everything's fine. You know what I mean? It's like, no, this is something I'm returning to often, which leads into this idea of like, well, this is a mental health practice. You know, you didn't take a shower once and was like, all right, we're good for the rest of my life. I took a shower. Like, nah, you got to keep coming back. You know what I'm saying? I didn't eat one meal and I got all the nutrients. I'm like, no, I have to keep, it's a practice of it. So I think for me, where I am is like really getting into like just developing really good practices, being okay and honest with myself about, you know, it's not so much for me, the like Christian side of me, but more just the like definition of manhood side of me, of just kind of being like, I'm good, you know, hey, life's hard for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, kick rocks, suck it up, go get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, you're sad. All right. Well, we'll go. It's almost like the sports thing. Okay, we'll take a time out, go sit down for a second. Game ain't over though. You got to get back in this game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, go get some water and come back. You know what I mean? Like, so I've kind of treated a lot of my emotions like that too, where it's like, okay, all right, get back in the game. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? We all right. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you good? You good? Right. You know, you from the city, you know what I'm saying? You get tackled in the street. Oh, he good. You good? You're like, yeah, you right. Yeah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
You're gushing blood. Just a little blood, man. Just a flesh wound.
But yeah, it's just that like, oh yeah, you know, you good. But you're not though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're not good. So I think that where I am now is like really being aware of what's going on with my family. I think my wife and my children, or my wife and my daughter, they you know, they deal with, you know, some like real like depression and anxiety. And you know, and I think I spent the last like 4 or 5 years really trying to understand what it's like to have sort of those kind of mental health issues, you know, and to be as empathetic as possible. But I think in the middle of that, like, I stopped thinking about myself, you know what I mean? And like how I'm feeling, because I'm so concerned about how they're feeling, you know, which was the right thing to do. I think I'm a better man for it, you know, for really making myself put myself in somebody else's shoes. But having said that, it's like, well, then it becomes very important for me to stay as healthy as possible. So I think having practices, you know, rhythms, one of those rhythms is coffee, you know, you know, and I know it seemed like I'm putting extras on it, but yeah, like the practice of slowing down, grinding, you know, making myself, you know, I think some of those early church, you know, our, you know, Catholic brothers and sisters who put a high sort of value on like liturgy and ritual. I think they might have been on to something, you know what I'm saying? The rhythm of that, of the rhythm of rehearsal, you know, and contemplation, even in everyday things that you do, in the mundane, in the sweeping the porch, you know what I'm saying? Like, I see that now as part of my spiritual practices, watering my little plants, you know, and like, it's part of my spiritual practice, you know, and yeah, you know, and I feel the difference in my parenting, you know, I think that's where it plays out the most, in just my patience, you know, my empathy, and then professionally, like, not feeling like, damn, I gotta put out some music or people gonna forget about me. You know what I'm saying? Or like, dang, this song ain't get as many views, and like maybe I'm losing it. Like, am I washed? Like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? And like really having, you know, better mental health practices, I think is like transferred me and being into just more patient into like even the process of putting out music. You know what I'm saying? Because 2012, that's a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's almost 10 years ago. You feel me? So like to be able to have that type of longevity, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm learning to value. And I think a lot of that just comes from, again, just having good mental health practices.
And I'm sorry to hear what you said earlier about your DJ too, man.
Yeah, man. That was DJ Effecto, man. That was in 2018, at the end of 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was rough, man. But he was so loved. Like, it was so cool. And even to this day, people are like, I'll get a text here and there, like, of things like just the kindness he was doing. That, like, he had a tattoo. It was like a 6-shooter revolver on his arm. And but the barrel said kindness. So it's just this idea of like, you know, killing him with kindness.
Hey, let's go.
And he's so dope, right? So like, and there are things like I said, I'm getting texts this day of like, I mean, I was with this fool like every day, and then people saying, hey, did you know that, you know, Effecto took care of this, and this, you know, he was there for this, man, he dropped my kids off at school. And I was like, what? Like, I like still finding all these like amazing things he was doing, you know, of just kind, loving acts, you know what I mean? And he was just a killer DJ. Like, the dude's
right.
He's just dope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, does that help cope with such a trauma like that, you know, almost to just focus on, you know, what was good and the memories and to just carry on the legacy?
Yeah, it really helps. One, because I know I gave him his flowers. Like, I know, you know, I loved him deeply.
Yeah.
He knew I loved him. He knew, like, the homies, the squad, everybody believed in him.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we all supported him. Around the end, he was actually like he was gonna leave the road because he wanted to he was gonna become a chef. You know what I'm saying? And that conversation was like effortless. I was like, go, I'll find somebody, like, go, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and so he knew that, like, I was like, yo, we'll do a send-off, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'll make this a thing. Like, don't worry about me, bro. Like, I'm here for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you my brother, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Kai Bigons, you feel me? Like, let's go. Like,
yes,
you know, it's no, I don't own you, homie. Like, let's go make this happen. You know, so I feel like I knew I gave him his flowers. His homies knew he gave him his flowers. And I knew he was just such a kind man that, like, I can only celebrate him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I have no regrets, you know?
Yeah. That's awesome, man. And, you know, staying on this topic too, especially as minority men, to be able to talk through actually what's going on and what's happening internally. How do you think that we can break the stigma? And first, I just want to, you know, give a shout out. That's a beautiful story, man, with you and your DJ. And I think that's so rare and precious that when you have that brother and you know that's a true friend, knowing what it's like to be betrayed, knowing what it's like to have fake friends, you know, fake people in your life that you thought was close to you. That's special, man. And I love that you were able to cherish that, bro.
Yeah, man.
And so, yeah, just like as minority men, how can we have, you know, a healthy breaking the stigma of, you know, it's okay to get help as you know, for minority mental health. Like, it's okay, brother, to get this help. It's okay to not be okay at times. It's okay, whether you're in the church or not.
Yeah, man. I think for me, it was as simple as looking at all of our daddies and being like, is this how I'm trying to end up, man? Like, you know what I'm saying? Or thinking about moments when I was a kid when I really wish, damn, man, like, why you ain't just like, man, you could have just told me, like, could have told me you love me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have said that once or twice. You feel me? Like, you know, rather than the, you good, that ain't hurt, you good. It's like, well, it did, man. God dog, it hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it just kind of being like, man, is that what I want to repeat? Now, with me, my father, you know, I was blessed enough to have a dad that was like, he was rather affectionate. Like, he was very affectionate, you know, which I think has really helped in you know, my development, you know, with in my mental state. But at the same time, like my dad was, I mean, he had his demons, you know what I'm saying? But I think he was just my dad, like he was affectionate to me, but he wasn't to himself. Like he was real hard on himself, or just I think almost like delusional about himself, you know, for his own. And I mean, he got it honestly, like you can't live through like Jim Crow South, Vietnam, you can't live through that and not have to build some sort of defense around, you know what I mean, who you are. So I don't blame him for it. But I think when as I became an adult and I started looking at like the stuff like he wouldn't admit about himself, I was like, I don't want to be that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't want anybody. I would hate for my son. Well, I don't have sons, but my daughters. I would hate for my daughters. I would hate to be on the other side of this conversation where my daughters are looking at me like, come on, dad, like, what are you doing, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's the way I felt, where I was just like, Pop, come on, fam. Like,
yeah.
Come on, man. Like, come on, fam. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it felt. And I was like, I don't want to be there. So I think for us as men, it's like, let's not repeat that, you know? So to me, it's that. It's like, let's look at our own daddies and be like, is that what you, I mean, in a lot of ways, like there's a lot of ways I admire my father. In a lot of ways, like I'm running from things that he became, you know what I'm saying? So I just, that would be my suggestion for like men, you know, men with melanin is like, let's look at our daddies and be like, is that what we trying to repeat? That part I'm not trying to repeat. That I love, you know what I'm saying? But that, I don't think we need that no more, you know?
Totally. Yeah, man, I think that's so good, you know, just because we have, you know, thank God my father was loving as well. And, you know, he made sure I knew he was there every sporting event, every musical event, first row. But yeah, there was that divorce that happened that wrecked me, you know, and because of that, I knew that, you know, the reason for my parents getting divorced, right, it was just, it was pornography, bro. And so for me, I know that can be something so normalized in society. And maybe I take it to the extreme, but going off of what you said, it's been a difficult process for me to be like, I love you, Father. And I'm still upset that, you know, I just wish you guys were together, you know, because y'all could have made it work. But for mentally, like, you know, being like, okay, like we're good, you know, I can take the good, like you mentioned, and then just not repeat the bad. So I do extremes where like, I don't even take my phone into our bedroom. That's a sacred place, you know, because when you scroll on the gram, you scroll, I try to keep my eyes away. I don't know what's out there, you know? I'm trying to.
That Explore tab is wild.
Oh my, that the Explore tab. Hey, never go on the Explore tab, man.
That mug wild, dog.
Yep. That would get you tripping like there's no tomorrow, man. So I ain't trying to explore, man. I'm trying to explore my wife's crevice and body, you know what I'm saying? All up in that, man. That Filipino queen, man. So
yeah, baby.
Yeah, it's just I think I go to the extreme with that, and going on this topic of mental health too. I found that last year for me was I found that maybe it was resurfacing from the divorce, or maybe it was just carrying over just from my childhood of people pleasing. But you know, I had to take a 3-month like mental health, you know, break from my work because it was just a really toxic work environment. They had me work all the time, so I just. I found out that like, hey, it's okay to get help, you know, and it's okay to realize and take the good from our parents and specifically father, what the good they gave to us and not repeat the bad. So
yeah, man, that's good, bro. That's good. Yeah, taking them breaks, man. It's like, yeah, if you hurt your arm, you would be like, well, let me sit down for a second. Like we all know
you can visually see it.
You know? You could see it, you know what I mean? But if you got like an emotional break, it's like we think somehow or another that don't count, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, going off on that too, when we're talking about family and specifically married life, man, how long have you been married and where did y'all meet? Because you have an intercultural marriage as well.
Yeah. So we met, where do we meet? We've been married for 12 years this year.
Okay.
We met through, thank you. We met through mutual friends. Just out here in the city. you know, and yeah, she's a first gen Latina, brilliant woman. And it was, yeah, it was like within 2 months, I was like, yeah, nah, yeah, this is it, dog. I'm in. I'm in.
When you know, you know.
When you know, man.
That's it.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing you learned from y'all's marriage?
Man, I think in a lot of ways, like really just the concept of selflessness.
Yeah.
Of like, you really put another person first. And like, I think there's the depths of like what that costs you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think a lot of times that's usually like the fear for, you know, a lot of younger folks is like what that's really going to cost you to like put another person first. Mm-hmm. And it has, I mean, it's costed me, but I also feel like, but I've also gained so much. Like the person I am now, I know could not have happened like without her, you know what I'm saying? 100%. And without the experience of learning how to put her first. I think also one of the biggest things is like, I feel like the relationship is like, it's 3 parts. There's like who I am, there's who she is, and then there's the thing we're building, the relationship itself. And I think sometimes when she get on my nerves or when I get on her nerves, it's good for us to remember, but then there's the thing we're making, you know, and the thing we're making is what's worth it all, you know. And I'm like, no one else can make this. We're the only people that can make this thing. You know what I'm saying? If it's somebody else, you're making a new thing, you know, but like that thing this is worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I'm in love with not only with her, but I'm in love with what we're building. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's been good. Like, one of the lessons has been good to just remember that, you know what I mean? When again, like herself is like, oh no, I'm kind of cool on you specifically. You know what I'm saying? But what we're making is still beautiful.
That is beautiful, man. I appreciate you sharing that. And it's crazy when we find our brides, right? And it's just, I said it was like a magnet. I said in our vows, you know, and I know that magnet was the Holy Spirit, you know, taking on this journey from dating long distance, engaged long distance. And then the day before our wedding, finding out that I got a job offer in Phoenix. And it was the first time this station, this network had a multimedia reporter in Phoenix, Arizona. So
wow,
you can't tell me that's not God. You can't tell me I wasn't gonna even go to this conference. It was a month before I got a scholarship. And
dang, okay.
Yeah. So my wife is like living proof that prayers are answered. Cause I was like, man, where's my wife? I was lonely. It was a season where I was literally like, my brother in the best man speech, he said the median age was 75 in Northern Michigan. So if I was it was tough, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, come on, man. So, but yeah,
dry out here.
It's dry. Snow, you know, blizzards, dry.
Yep. Woo.
Speaking of coffee, there was no coffee shop in sight. I had to go to a McDonald's that season as a coffee lover, you know.
Man,
so
that's rough.
But the Lord is good, man. And to lead me to my bride, and we've been married almost 4 years now, and she's my queen. Man. And that's one thing I think, you know, we just want to break the cycle of brokenness and divorce that's in our marriage, that's in our families, and that starts with us. You know, like you mentioned, one thing we learned in our marriage class is like the hedgehog and the rhino. Have you heard of this?
No.
So like, you know, when you're in conflict, you either, whether it be from family history, from your culture, you either like are the rhino and you want to work something out head on. And that's like, you're charging at it. Or you're like the hedgehog and you're like, I'm gonna curl up into this ball here. And like, I don't want to deal with it. Let's sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
And so we found that when we were in conflict, I'm like the rhino, right? So my family was super emotional. I was very like, it was the white side, man. We talking through our feelings, you know. And then my wife, she's like the hedgehog, and they, you know, she was raising the queen, like with queens, you know, her Lola and her mom, and my wife, and so she and her older sister, so they were all like, let's just get through it. We ain't gonna talk about it. Sweep under the rug.
Yeah.
You know. And I think we found there was conflict, like a lot of like, man, why don't you just talk about it? I don't want to talk about it. But it took a few years to realize like, hey, like there's strength in both. There's strength in being strong through it, and there's strength in just talking through it, you know?
Yeah. Having both.
Yep.
Absolutely, man. Like, and having a meet where you gotta, maybe you should be a little more hedgehog, maybe she should be a little more rhino, and just kind of meet in that middle. Yep.
Totally. It just all goes back to meeting in the middle, man, with politics, with marriage, with life, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
And I know you've talked a lot about raising the standards, specifically in family and with fatherhood, and you know, raising the banner. Like, what sparked that passion in you? Was it seeing your parents split?
Nah, I think I didn't really deal with my parents splitting really until much later in life.
Okay.
I think I know it's weird to say this, but it's like, I understood. Like, I understood why they split, you know? And like, I don't blame them. It's this weird, like, maybe it's a stage of life thing, but like, I'm just like, it didn't, I guess, because my dad was around still. Like, I still saw him all the time, you know? And I saw like what it was, when it got bad, what it was doing to both of them. That for me, it just, I felt like, man, yeah, y'all need to go on, and you know what I'm saying? Y'all do what y'all gotta do. But I think it's, the standard stuff has more to do with just understanding just Black culture and just wanting what's good for all of us. I think you get a sense of, like, you know, your role in the collective, in the full community, you know, just that collective identity that comes with just being Black in America, that like, I feel like I want so much good for all of us, that I'm like, here's my thing. Let me remind you of your greatness. Let me remind you of the things that you've been called to, you know, and that you're not always missing the mark, man. I think sometimes, you know, people reading statistics about, you know, who we are, we're rarely read the positive statistics about us, you know what I'm saying? Or the things that we are doing well, you know? And one of those things, like, even going specifically on the statistic level, it's like, first of all, like, Black and brown men, we're not absentee fathers at any higher rate than anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we just as present and just as gone as every other daddy, you know what I'm saying? But what it does show is that when we are in the house, we're way more engaged with our children than any other culture. You know what I'm saying? And I think that those things I love to remind us, you know, that like, yo, we're actually good daddies. You know what I'm saying? When we're around, we really good daddies, you know, and just remind yourself for that. Like, let's keep that bar high. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep that standard up, that like, yo, this is who we are. Okay, then let's keep pushing that line. Wow. Let's keep being amazing as in the sense of what we can do within our own, you know, abilities. Yeah.
That's what's up, man. All right, so we're almost done here. This segment is called the Are You For Real segment. So there's gonna be some lightning round. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
All right. Welcome to the segment, Are You For Real? Number one, best burritos in LA.
If it's not somebody's grandma's house, then Cinco Puntos.
Okay. Number two, if you were president of the US, what would be your first policy?
Reparations. Done. You know what I'm saying? Easy.
Man, come on, man. Why do you think that hasn't happened yet?
Because we Black. Easy. That's easy. Because they racist. I'm done. I was just playing.
Straight up.
I don't know. But yeah.
Number three. Who's your favorite Pokemon, and what house in Hogwarts would you be?
I'm a Hugglepuff. My Hufflepuff, is that what it is?
Hufflepuff, Team Hufflepuff, bro. That's me too, actually.
Yeah. My daughter made me do the thing. Yeah. So I'm a Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. And favorite Pokemon.
Yeah.
Probably Charizard.
Let's go.
I like Charizard.
Hey, Charizard. I like Charizard too. It's Charizard Charlie. That's what I rock with.
Charizard Charlie. Let's go. Yeah. All right.
And number 4, number cuatro, man. What are you most passionate about in life?
Dang, you can't answer that quick.
That's what
I mean, yeah, my wife, my kids, culture, seeing the culture flourish.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
And I have a bonus here too. You talked about Filipino-ness. What's your favorite part about the Filipino culture, whether that be food, family, the faith?
Oh, that's hard, man. Probably the camaraderie, the community of it. Like, y'all all know each other.
Mm-hmm.
The stick by each otherness. Yeah, probably the community aspect of it. Like, I really love the camaraderie of the Filipino culture. Like, yeah, y'all immediately, as soon as you see each other, you like, oh, word. Oh, it's my auntie, my cousin. Like, you don't know that man. No, it's my cousin. Like, my cousin. Like, you don't know him. But like, yeah, he's my cousin. Filipino, he's my cousin. Like, I love it, dude. I love that.
Have you seen a Pacquiao fight before?
I've seen many.
Many, yes.
Yes, and I've been at the party when it's happening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it goes.
That's the only time. That's the only time the karaoke stops is when Pacquiao starts fighting. Once he starts fighting, right, everybody put the mic down for a little bit.
Yeah,
and they come back and sing after. But yeah, I didn't see them angry.
Yeah,
angry. You know what I'm saying? Like, when Pac-Man ain't getting what he needs. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. with the rice and adobo, watching them just destroy people.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
What's your ultimate favorite Pinoy food?
Dinuguan.
Nice. What about, like, you like puto? Have you had puto?
Yes.
Man, I would eat, like, whenever my Lola make them, I would eat like 20 of those boys, man.
Let's go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Nah, I know people always get surprised when I go to Dinuguan, but I'll be like, yo, that's chocolate meat, dog. It's bomb.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So yeah, this very last portion, it's gonna be called, there's gonna be some little music playing in the background. It's spoken word with propaganda. And
so, you done got a track for me, okay.
Yeah, I got you, man. So this one, the topic, right, is men's mental health. Did you put something together? You want to go off the dome?
I probably got something I can share about that.
Okay. Let's see here. All right, I got something written up. You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
You go ahead.
All right. Here we go. The music's playing. Here we go. Men's mental health. It's mental. From the fall of man, from the soil, the toil, the mind spoils from watching another episode or scrolling and seeing that girl you double tapping when really you should be tapping your bride right next to you. Inside, you still feel down. Even when everyone's around, you still feel alone inside your mind, but never mind that. Even if you are trying everything right, your mind is blurry. You can't get the lies out of sight. You're abiding by integrity, yet can't you see? I wake up and whoa, there goes gravity. In reality, my mentality is choke. They so mad at me. I'm trying to people please, but it's adversely affecting me. I'm trying to fight this toxicity. This box sticks on me where my mind seemingly leads to a thought that leads to another thought that leads to another. And yo, I've been trying to take cover, but oh, there goes the homie, there goes the coworker. How you doing, man? I'm great. How's the family? They're good, thank you, man. How about them Pistons? You know what I'm saying? How about that weather? You hear about that news? Yet breaking news internally, the mind is a mess. Why do we keep reverting back to small talk as if we talk about mental health that makes you small, when in reality it should be like you're standing tall in battle, like a young man who took a sling and took out one of the tallest dudes to ever walk the earth, all because God was preparing him throughout his life. Even when those who were formerly military trained and wearing armor, who the world thought were the MVPs or all-stars, God was giving him That small young man, what the world may have deemed as the underdog, all he needs within to fight what was in the wild as a shepherd killing lions and bears on mine, and what was in his mind to not fear but face it head on. So he knocked out the enemy's head because he knew who truly resides in his head. David was a man after God's own heart, and you can be too. It's a journey, and it starts with a simple breath. Then, hey man, how you doing? I'm not okay. It's okay to not be okay, bro. Let's talk. Then let's pray, and then let's take some actionable steps to actually be that okay, to fight for that joy, because it's been a battle from the start. Men toil from the fall of man, from the soil. But when we fall, guess who's catching us? It's whom we planted our thought life, our whole lives to, for it's in this soil we are truly watered to grow and thrive. Count them, I'm alive, count them. I've got oxygen in my lungs, count them. Blood flowing through my veins, and if that's all I can muster up today, let me say, let us not become weary in doing good. For at the proper time, we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Don't give up, young man. Be honest, keep fighting, and trust in the one who's got your back, nurturing and holding and healing your mind. Lift your head up, taking care of your mental health is so worth your time. It's your time to shine. Fight for joy, never look back, step on them haters, and turn your mind to what's right. From mentor to men, stand tall. Freedom, let go, let God, and let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Okay. I mean, I gotta go after this.
I asked you, bro, first. If you wanted to go first, man.
You did, man. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. All right. And now, you oceans, you mighty blue tides, tell us your stories. Spare no punches. Hold no details, your legacy. It's as curious as dark matter. The heart of a woman, you sunsets. Show me no mercy. Tell us how we made you proud and we failed you in the same breath. How hands that lay waste to hopes and dreams can be shapers of epic destinies. How every triumphant march is chock full of Achilles' heels. How our heroes are flawed and fallen. Life is funny, it's fast, it's slow, it's both and, it's patient building, it's good, it's bad, it's either or. You boneyards, remind me that I am animated dust, and so is the pedestal I put my mama on, and the platforms we use to reach your ears sit in your hard drive. Remind me that we are not so different. Sit at the same table. Teach me to pay attention to this moment. And please keep me home. And keep me home. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Snaps.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's powerful, man.
Appreciate it, brother.
Hey, I appreciate your time, Prod. It means a lot.
Yeah,
and,
man.
You mind if I pray for you, bro?
Go for it.
Thank you guys so much for this wonderful conversation with my brother in Christ, Propaganda. Thank you for just his ministry, Lord. First of all, in his home with his wife and his kids, Lord. I pray that you continue to strengthen him to be raising that banner for the culture, for his family, and that you would be with them in their mentalities, Lord. Continue to strengthen them and cover them with your love and peace, and continue to bless Propaganda and all of his incredible work he's doing as an author, as a poet, as an activist, and use him to make an eternal impact for your kingdom. That as we look to see how we can actually have racial reconciliation, it would start in the home, it would start with each other in conversations like this, Lord. And just please use this conversation for your kingdom, and may whoever hears it, Lord, be impacted and for eternity, Jesus. We love you, God. Thank you for Propaganda. Bless and mighty in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen, brother.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, homie. I'm glad it worked out.
Yes, sir. Thank you, bro. And is there anything you wanted to promote too? You got something coming?
Yeah, man. New music coming. The Sky EP, the second EP in the Terraform series. The Terraform book is out. All that's on prophiphop.com. That's on my socials too. Yeah.
Awesome. Salamat, bro.
Salamat po. All right, bro.
All right,
man.
Well, first of all, man, before we get started with the actual interview, I just wanted to say, normally when I introduce guests, I'll have like a walkout song. So what would your walkout song be? Like if you're stepping up to the plate, you're playing for the Dodgers, you're playing to get hype, what would be your walkout song?
Oh, man. So it can't be, can I choose my own music? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, you got some bangers, man.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. I'm playing for the Dodgers. Let's see if I'm doing my own music. It's going to have to be the Do No Wrong song.
Do No Wrong.
The Crooked record. Yeah.
Okay. And the crowd's feeling it and you're stepping up to the plate.
You know what I'm saying?
All right. And why'd you choose that song, man?
I just think it, especially if I'm stepping up to the plate for the Dodgers, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just an ode to home and to everybody from home. And, I don't know, man. I just feel like it's in that classic vein,
I hear you. That's what's up. Hey, I'm passionate about repping my home state wherever I go. Right now, my wife and I in Portugal, and I'm repping the D, man. Repping Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
And I gotta stay loyal because the Lions, they don't do well. They just lost in front of all of America last night.
They sure did, man. They was doing all right too.
They
was doing all right.
They were, man. I know. Yeah.
It must be hard being a Lions fan, boy.
Oh, it's so hard, man. And my wife's actually from LA, bro. And so it's funny. She surprised me a couple times with Staples Center tickets against the Lakers. And she's got bragging rights for now, but I got to bring up the 04 Pistons because we beat
They count, man. Y'all snuck in and stole one. You know what I'm saying?
We did. Give us one, man. You know?
Yeah, nah, y'all did. Right in the middle of two dynasties. Y'all was like, Duke, we'll take this.
Yep. With no, y'all had Kobe, Shaq, Karl Malone, Gary Payton.
Full respect.
Yeah.
Don't make me say it again, though. You know what I'm saying? That's the last one you get.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, it's that blue collar, roll up your sleeves mentality, man.
No, I love Detroit, man. I love it. I love Detroit. I love that city. I love everything about it. It's like I used to always say that Detroit makes my favorite kind of white people. I just feel like they just get it. Like Detroit white people get it, you know?
Yeah, no, I feel that, yo. That's true.
And one time for the West Coasters, love from Vallejo all the way down to Dago. Lowrider, scraper, bike, beach cruiser, tagging crews. Dogtown natives be skating in empty pools. Me, I'm down in Long Beach, but grew up off the 10 East. Overcrowded, overpriced, and I don't even think twice. Three riots, crack attack, Pachuco Vatos, but you can't stay mad if that.
Hey, thank you so much again, Propaganda, for your time. Woo! Man, can we just give a big round of applause around the world, wherever you're listening from, for Propaganda. Hey, if you like this episode, and if you like what this podcast is all about, man, why I started it to really make an impact and hopefully encourage you in your life today, whatever you're going through, including, man, just trying to keep it real, trying to keep it authentic, man, just being me in a world where it's a lot of mediocrity, a lot of falsehoods, a lot of fake news coming at you, man. I'm just trying to keep it real, keep it authentic, and have a space where it's open, it's honest, and it's authentically. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. If you liked it, please be sure to share it. Please be sure to subscribe to Amber and I's YouTube channel, Charlie and Amber, where the full video is uploaded to. Also, you can check out the brand new Patreon, where there is bonus content if you sign up and subscribe to that. There's going to be motivational content from Portugal while drying laundry. And there's also motivational pick-me-up coffee talks coming your way if you sign up for the Patreon podcast. You know what I'm calling it since I've launched it is the Authentically family. So be a part of the Authentically team that way. And yeah, man, just if you like what this is all about, man, that would help out a lot. And again, you know, so you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can expect a lot more content to come your way. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe, like, and share. You know what it is. But in the meantime, keep it authentic. Keep being you. You have a bright future. There's a great plan for you. Keep going. Keep staying the course, and don't give up, man. It's tough out there. Trust me, but you can do it. Keep going. You got this. Let's go.